Are you having trouble finding your perfect foundation shade in stores or online? Then this video will help you test, swatch, and narrow down what brands may work best for you so you can find that perfect shade. Hey everyone, this is Lisa. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Lisa Monique Beauty, where we cover all things beauty and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. Now, this is the second of a two-part series. So I have another video which talks about how to find your undertone, your skin tone, and really how to just familiarize yourself with different shade names in your range so that when you do go to the stores or look online, you kind of can zoom in and narrow in to a particular section in their broad shade ranges. So if you're not familiar with some of the shades that work best for your skin tone already, if you don't purchase a lot of foundation already, you may need to go watch that video first before you start watching this one, so that you know that you're a neutral undertone and that you're a light medium skin tone. So now we're getting to the nitty-gritty on what foundation will work best for you. Do you have pretty good skin, but you are just noticing a little bit of redness that you're trying to cover up, or you're getting just a couple of spots and you just want to even out your skin tone a little bit more? Then you probably need just a tinted moisturizer or a really lightweight foundation like a serum foundation. If you have skin like me where you have some sunspots, a little more discoloration, changes in your skin, maybe it's a little more what you would call blotchy, or you have, again, a little bit more redness in this area of your face and you're finding that a tinted moisturizer is not enough coverage anymore, then you probably need to move over to a medium coverage foundation or a buildable foundation. And then if you have more severe hyperpigmentation or really deep sunspots or acne scars that you're trying to cover up, or you just prefer an all-over, more even finish, and then you might need a full coverage foundation. You also need to know your skin type. Do you have normal skin, dry skin, oily skin, combination skin? Most foundations will either work like normal to dry or normal to oily, and combination skin would be included in that. And then you can use that information to help pick the foundation. Some work better with normal to dry skin. Those usually have like a radiant finish, a natural finish. They usually say they have hyaluronic acid in them. Those tend to be a little more moisturizing and a little dewier on your face. If you have oily or combination skin, you might look for ones that have a more matte skin-like finish. Those tend to work better on the normal to oilier skin. Then you need to decide what foundation brand you want to try. That can be really confusing for a lot of people. I do have this chart. The light, medium, and full coverage foundations are foundations that work for normal to dry skin. Those are foundations that I have tried, that I use, that I like, and that I recommend. The foundations that are on the oily skin side, that is a mixture of the light, medium, and fuller coverage foundations. I don't have oily skin. I can't personally recommend how these foundations work on oily skin, but these are ones that were recommended from other mature beauty channels that have combination or more oily skin. You want to research the shades before you go. One, to just know if they have the full line there. I've gone to Sephora, they've had 20 different testers, which looks great, but that brand actually has 40 different shades. Also, in drugstores, if you have medium to deep skin, you already know this, that they usually don't carry any or only a couple of the medium to deep shades, even if they have a lot more online. But you just want to know before you walk in, so you're not looking for something that they may offer, the brand may offer, but it's just not in that particular store. I do know for drugstore brands, Ulta is usually better at stocking the medium to deep shade. So if I'm looking at a drugstore, if I'm at Target and it only goes up to a medium shade, I know if they offer it at Ulta, they may carry a better shade range. So I talked about two websites in my previous videos to help find your shade based on your skin tone and your undertone. You can also look at the brands and see what finish it is. Is it a radiant finish? Is it a matte finish? So I find these are by far the best place to get started, and I just think it's kind of fun to see the different foundations that are out there that are recommended. Then you can go ahead and write a few of these down or put them in your phone with the shades that they're recommending, and armed with this knowledge, you are ready to go swatching. When I'm going in person to the stores to try on the foundations, I always bring a mirror, and I try and remember to bring some makeup wipes because I do start swatching on my arms and I just need to clean that off. Some of the stores will offer tissues or some makeup remover. Sometimes they don't have makeup remover and it's just alcohol there. So I definitely like to bring makeup wipes with me. So your mirror is very important. You want it to be big enough to actually see at least half your face. This Wayne Goss one is a good clear mirror. It is bright. It doesn't change my skin tone. I know on some of my little small powder compact, I feel like they might not have used the best mirror in there because it's not showing an accurate representation of my skin. So you can take your mirror and go out in natural light and make sure that it's clear and bright and it shows enough of your skin that you can see how the foundation looks, how it goes down to your neck and how it goes down to this area here. I like about this size mirror when I go to the store. So you can also buy just a pocket mirror and keep that with you. It does help to bring a good friend with you too who is a decision maker. So when I first go into a store with testers, I will swatch my arm. Because I have color on my arms, let's see I have a lot of color here and it's a lot lighter down here. I like to swatch the area where it goes from light to dark. So it's really kind of right here. I think that is the closest to my face. Not the exact shade of my face, but it is closest. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for the skin tone and undertones that are pretty close. I will swatch those areas, and if I'm looking at 3 or 4, I will try and remember which foundation you're swatching where on your arm. And then once you narrow down a couple on your arm, you're going to want to start swatching your face. Same thing, you want to kind of remember what shades you're swatching where. If you can do it linear, lightest to darkest, left to right, or something like that, that you can remember which shades you're actually using, or pull the shade testers, out. Don't keep putting them back until you kind of narrow things down. But I have swatched many times and forgotten which shade I actually like. Now, when you start swatching on your face, usually the Sephora Ultra rep will come up and ask if you need any help. I really have terrible luck with reps in Sephora or Ulta. If you make a foundation appointment at Sephora, they'll put you up in the front makeup chair and they'll spend a little bit more time swatching you. Then when you get down to this is the 1 or 2 shades they think are the best, you want to say, well, let me go outside and take a look. Yes, at Sephora for me at the mall, that means walking through the mall. It's a little bit of a distance to get to outside. I do it every time because the foundation looks so different outdoors. I think with the fluorescent lighting, it makes an oranger foundation look a little more neutral. So it ends up looking good in the stores, and then you walk outdoors and your foundation, I find for me, my foundation is almost always too orangey or dark when I go out into the natural light. In the department stores, you go to the Estee Lauder counter and they use a machine to read your skin tone. That has never read the right shade for me. And so they'll put it on and they're like, oh yes, that's the perfect shade. And you're feeling a little intimidated because you're sitting in the chair. And then you're like, can I go look at it outside? And you walk outside and you look, because they always put a shade too dark for me on. I'll try and say, I think it's a little dark. And they're like, no, it's just the lighting in here. This is the right shade for you. I think it's perfect. It matches you. It blends in great. See. And then you're intimidated and you're like, okay. And then you end up buying the wrong shade. But I say, nope, I'm going to go check outdoors. I'll take my mirror. I will look outdoors and I'll come back in and I'll say, no, it really is a little too dark in natural light. Can you swatch me something lighter? And then they can't argue with you because they didn't see your skin in natural light. It is a little work sometimes, but I think sometimes if you're not comfortable with the shade that they're suggesting to you, you just go along with it because you don't want to be rude, or I don't know why. For some people, including me, it's a little more difficult to stand your ground until you can say definitively, no, it is not the right shade. It looks terrible outdoors. Now, because I personally have lighter, almost bleached areas on my face, I have darker melasma, I have the dark spots, and then I have consider my normal skin tone. It's hard to figure out which area of my face am I trying to match. Well, one thing I am trying to match a good shade that looks good right about here. It's not necessarily my chest area here because this tends to be a little bit darker. It gets more direct sun if I'm wearing a V-neck or something like that. But right around my collarbone is usually a good shade for me. It's a little bit darker than right here. I will try and match on my face this little bit more darker area where I have a little bit of melasma. I'm not trying to match these really super dark spots, but I do tend to match towards the darker areas because when my melasma starts poking through, or if it starts poking through, it tends to look gray and ashy when it pokes through a foundation that's too light. So I do try and match this a little bit darker area on my face as opposed to try and lighten them too much. Also, if I'm stuck between two shades, one seems a little light, the other seems a little bit dark, two schools of thought. Some people say go lighter because you can darken it up with your bronzer and other products. That's what I did today. My foundation was actually a little too light, and I have a powder, a finishing powder that was a little bit dark, and that's what I used, and I thought it's a pretty good match. But normally, when I go, I will take just the slightly darker one and use a white color adjuster to make it the perfect match. I used to tell everyone to go light and use this dark color adjuster, which I love, and I have a whole video on using color adjusters I'll put up here, but it was discontinued, and even though I can mix with the darker foundation, I find I get a closer color match just adding just a drop of white to a slightly too dark foundation. If you have olive skin tone, just add a drop of blue. LA Girl at Ulta, they have a blue color adjuster. Just add a tiny drop of blue to a yellowish foundation. Yellow and blue make green. Usually you can take a foundation, have it lean more towards those olive undertones. But ultimately, if I really can't find a match in this foundation, and I'm at Sephora or at the department store, I will walk to another counter, and a lot of times I can find the best shade in another brand. So just because one brand, like Fenty, I can never find 40 shades, can't find a good shade for me at Fenty. I do think they tend to be a little more olive. So if you have olive skin tones, you might find the best shade at using Fenty products, but I have a hard time finding the more neutral, warm shades that I need. But obviously, I have a lot of foundations that I love to wear, so I can find a better match with a different brand. Now, once I have 2 or 3 foundation shades that I think, oh, I think these are it, I don't want to buy 3 or 4. I'm at Sephora or I'm at a department store and they're $45 each. I don't want to buy 3 different foundations. I will ask for samples. Sephora will give you a couple of different samples. Sometimes they limit it. Sometimes they'll give me 5. Sometimes they'll give me 3. So you just need to see who your salesperson or who's helping you out. Department stores, I can always get 2 or 3 different samples. You can get to the different counters to try the different brands and get samples there. But that's the best way to make sure you've got a good foundation match, because you have a couple days use or a couple days wear out of your little sample, and then you can see how it looks over your full face, how it wears, how it looks 2 hours later. Does it oxidize? If you have more oily skin, a lot of times foundations can oxidize and get a little bit darker. Oh, that's the thing. If your foundation tends to oxidize frequently on you, then when you pick your foundation shades, you might want to lean towards that lighter shade. And then if you have those samples, then you can just go back and purchase online the shade that you decided looks the best, and you'll have a foundation that you love. With the drugstores where you can't swatch or get samples, I like to know what shade I am looking for before I go in, or I am standing there with my phone looking up the shade on the website. I'll be on the Maybelline website looking at the shade on my phone, because the foundation swatch online is always more accurate than the little plastic swatch that they have in front of the product. After I make my purchases, I will keep my receipts for about 2 weeks, because I have worn a foundation for a couple of days and then looked in the mirror at a bathroom when I was out and about, and I just, it really didn't work with my skin. It sucked all the moisture out. It looked really old. So then I definitely returned that foundation, even though I thought it looked really good in my bathroom when it was first applied. For a couple of days I wore it. I hope all these hints will help you go into the stores a little more confident, help you narrow down, maybe not spend all day trying to pick a foundation, that you can kind of go in, narrow down just on a couple of brands and a couple of shades, swatch them, go outside and look at your foundation swatches outside and feel confident that you're getting your best foundation match. So good luck with this. Again, I know it's really confusing. Let me know down in the comments below if this video was helpful and if you have any other hints to help other people. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.